If you're Chelsea, I understand getting a new stadium. They hold 38,000 to keep them getting the revenue in and keep them. You need to go to a 60,000 stadium like Liverpool got now, and Arsenal have got, and Tottenham have got, and Man City have got. They got a 70-odd thousand. They got the biggest one in the country. Why would you want to spend all this money? It's only for one reason. It's for more hospitality. That's what it's for. They're going to have many, many more hospitality boxes than what they did have. They're not going to build this stadium for the fans. They're not going to go, right, this gives us a chance. The prices are going to go up. Get it right on the pitch first. Because I said here last week, football changes. And the longer these are not winning football matches and they're sitting in the bottom half of the table, kids around the world will start supporting another team. When they get to 7, 8 years of age, kids who are 7 and 8 years of age now around the world will be going for their first football team, and they won't be picking Man United because they're not winning football matches. So they'll be looking at Liverpool and they'll be looking at Arsenal and Man City. Who would have said 20 years ago that you can go to South Africa or China or Japan or Australia and you'll see a Man City shirt? Never. But you do now because they were winning football matches, so people support them.
And Dorse, do you go along with what Mercy's saying in terms of getting this round the wrong way? Because if you're a United fan, what you're most interested in is not necessarily whether we're getting rained on through the roof at Old Trafford. They want to see their side winning things again. At the moment, they're miles away from that, particularly in terms of the Premier League. And then the next day, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is announcing this huge new stadium that many have likened to a circus tent. It'll look great for the likes of Taylor Swift on a stage right in the middle of it. It just feels like they're getting things the wrong way round. And it just came a day after Sir Jim Ratcliffe talking about them running out potentially. They could have run out of money by the end of the year.
Well, the team is always going to suffer. We've seen the stadiums have been built amazing. And what Sir Jim Ratcliffe is looking, he's fast forwarding 5 to 10 years to generate the money that's going to come back into the football club. But ultimately, the team is going to suffer. I see what Mercy is talking about there, but they see the vision of how good it's going to look, and they need to be proud of their team again. But this is a million miles away. I actually found that interview very interesting. I really did, because Sir Jim Ratcliffe and owners of football clubs get advice, get guided. And I'm listening at Gary Neville there, and I thought it was a brilliant interview. He talks about taking £40,000 away from ex-players from the 60s, 70s and 80s, and he went, why don't you put an event on? You'll generate more than that and get some money back. And he went, oh, yeah. So little things that owners get spoken to and advised, I think if you speak to people who know the football club, understand what it's about for playing for this massive worldwide club, and guidance from people. And I really enjoyed it. He was very open, but on the flip side, you go, we could have been running out of money, and then you're going to go and build a £2 billion stadium. Where is that going to come from?
Where's that money running out of money? What? No one else is going to buy Man United. It's Man United Football Club. Someone, would have come up with the money.
Where's that money going to come from, us? Where, if you can't got any money to...
Yeah, so
Dorgu, they're the kind of players that you're looking at that bracket now. It's not the big superstar players for Manchester United where they're attracting them kind of players because the recruitment has been so bad. They have wasted so much money. Then on the flip side, you say, it's a £2 billion stadium. Where's that going to come from?
But also, listening to him, I mean, he talked about making Manchester United the most profitable club in the world in 3 years' time. But what wasn't often discussed in any of the interviews across the board was that elephant in the room, which is that £35 million they spend every single year servicing the Glazers' debt.
Yeah. And that was another thing that I found interesting, that the Glazers were taking the money out, and it's obviously then causing problems for Manchester United, and you can see. But ultimately, you've got to have, starting from the top, the right people in charge, and recruitment hasn't been good enough at Manchester United for long enough. They've wasted so much money on transfers, on wages, and ultimately, these players aren't good enough. Yeah, and that's why they are where they are in the Premier League.
I think when you listen to Sir Jim Ratcliffe speaking about it there, I think he understands it. I think he's admitted that the recruitment has been really poor. And, there's been a lot made out of, the lunches, and there's been a lot made out of people losing their job. I think if you actually look at it, a lot of the ones that have lost their job are offices scattered around the world. That if you probably break it down, you'd ask yourself, what are they actually doing anyway? So Man United, when they've grown from, come back to Sir Alex Ferguson, and they've grown and grown and grown, they've just went along with it. And usually if they've had a season that struggled, they've went out and spent money the following season, then they've got themselves back on top. It's been a process where they've just grown and grown and grown and grown. Now all of a sudden they're not winning, and everybody's looking at it saying, right, we need to fix this. We need to sort this. There is no doubt. I mean, the money that Manchester United must be hemorrhaging. Yes, everybody goes on about the players, and rightly so. Recruitment has been terrible. There's no getting away from it. That's on the football department. But as a business, and that's what people forget, football clubs are a business. The money they've been wasting everywhere, needs to stop. And as I said, for that interview, if Sir Jim Ratcliffe is stripping it back to then build Manchester United again, the fans will buy that. If they're stripping it back and they're not going to invest it back on the football field, they're not going to invest it back, he's going to have problems. Because Manchester United, the fans want to win. They've been brought up in it, they want to win games of football, and they're now seeing it for a period of time where Liverpool dominated for a while. Then it was Manchester United, and that's all they've seen. They're now looking at it saying, well, Chelsea arrived, well, Arsenal, Chelsea arrived. Probably the worst two teams for Manchester United fans are now dominating English football. Their neighbours, who were absolutely nowhere, and Liverpool. I mean, Manchester United fans don't want it. So if you're stripping it back, you need to strip it back to get it right on the football field.
And he admitted, Mertz, that it was a wrong decision keeping Erik ten Hag on over the summer and giving another transfer kitty and giving them a crack at this season for a while. Now they've got Ruben Amorim in. As that mission to start winning things begins. When you look at what Amorim's done overall, this is his record so far since he took over at Manchester United as head coach. And bearing in mind that, just listening to Sir Jim Ratcliffe there, he said he was doing an excellent job in the circumstances. 17 games in charge. He's only won 5. He's lost of 8 of those as well. Do you think he's doing an excellent job in the circumstances?
No, not at all. No, not at the moment. No. I mean, he's coming. He didn't want to come in. You know, you hear the stories that he didn't want to come into the end of the season and start. So he sort of see the picture. You know, having to come in during the season, he'd have seen the team. He'd have known there was a lot of wreckage, a lot of stuff to be done. So, you know, he's not silly that way. He's not getting it right at the moment. I mean, it was a good result against...
Have you seen signs that he might be beginning to get things right?
No, what I have seen that he's quite thick-skinned. When I watched it, when I was at Old Trafford last week, he sat 10 behind the ball. Sat 10 behind the ball and thought, we can't open the game up against Arsenal. You know, I'm in a position where, you know, I'm not at Sporting Lisbon now and I can't go, you have a shot, we have a shot, because Arsenal would destroy us. And they sat back, they played off a base, and they played with counter-attacking football where, if you are thinking of doing that, you wouldn't get rid of Rashford. Because Rashford's their biggest threat in counter-attacking football, in my opinion. He's the one with the pace and he can score a goal. So I can understand what he's doing there. It will take time, but I don't know how much time, because the fair play rule's in now. You know, they've got to spend a lot of money on a stadium, so they won't be able to bring in big players. You know, what we got to look at the all-round picture is what Ten Hag done, and whoever was the sporting director at the time. Because, you know, I don't want to go back to Anthony again, but Anthony, £80-odd million. I mean, that's bordering on criminal. I mean, it is. It's criminal. In football terms, it's criminal. And now he's on loan in Spain, and it's just brushed aside. It's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's just a failure. How many players have they bought in the last year, 2 years, that have been a massive success at Man United? And I'm thinking the only one I can think of is Maguire. I think Maguire's done all right.
But we would have sat here and said Mason Mount was a good signing and it's not worked out for him. I mean, we speak about it's been a graveyard for managers. We speak about, older experienced players. Manchester United's recruitment has been in and around, when you go back through it recently, it's been in and around the 20, 22 to 23, 24, 25-year-old. But it's a graveyard for them now as well. I mean, there's a lot of people turning up at Manchester United and whether it's the pressure of what has went before them in terms of, when you look at the history and the ones that have won, the pressure of having to win, they can't handle it. They cannot handle it. And there's been De Ligt, a few years ago you were speaking about, one of the best defenders in world football. I mean, he's plummeted. And he's went to Manchester United and it's not really got much better. There's been so many of them. But the interesting thing now is they are now shopping in a market where it has to be spot on, and it's not going to be, because you're taking a gap. Like teams like, you speak about the recruitment from Brighton and Bournemouth, and that, I mean, they've got a proper structure in place that allows them to go and get talented kids. Manchester United don't have that. They need to try and find a way to get it, but they don't have it.
Might they try that though, Boydie? You look at Dorgu, who's gone in. He isn't a superstar, so they've gone and found him and gone, we won't pay enormous amount of money for him. We'll try and...
The other thing for Manchester United as well,
like your Brightons have done.
Yeah, but Brighton's a total different. I mean, we always speak about Brighton, but they're a total different. They're a total different bracket altogether. Nobody can touch them. They're on their own in terms of recruitment.
They're
but
on
the
their
thing
own
is,
because if they win, they win. And if they don't, if they go and get beat 4-0 today,
winning games of football's got nothing to do with the recruitment.
No one will care. No one will care.
But winning games of football's got nothing to do with.
could lose to Leicester tomorrow, or even draw, and it's headlines. It'll be headlines.
Well, their away record isn't great, but Leicester's form at the moment.
The other thing I want to touch on is
I was just using it
for Manchester United as well, and we've all grown up. You know, when you speak of the class of '92, even in terms of youngsters coming through, they're not there anymore. Manchester United, they were able to go and spend bigger money on other players because they had a nucleus of a youth team that was coming through. And even after the '92, you think of Darren Fletcher and people like that as well, came through and went and had unbelievable careers for Manchester United. Whereas now, they don't even have that. So the infrastructure, on the pitch with the first team is bad. But Sir Alex Ferguson, and they said, I want the best young players in my club. That's gone as well.
Yeah, but that's gone. So you can't do that now. The rules have changed. You can't. You know, it's got to be where you live and all that. Yeah, there's a long story to that. They've got a good academy, Man United. They'll concentrate on that. You know, they'll be told. You know, we've got to start getting players through, and they will. They've got good kids, and they've got a very good academy. But the rules have changed from like when David Beckham was there. David Beckham, goes to Man United. He was a London boy. So there's different situations now.
And that game against Leicester tomorrow, of course, sees them up against Ruud van Nistelrooy. Had that short interim spell. Final question on this, Dawes, before we take a break. Just in terms of the summer, it just looks complex for Ruben Amorim because you've got players who aren't at the club at the moment on loan that they're still paying the wages of. He's going to need to get players out to bring new players in. It's not going to be a straightforward summer at all, is it?
Oh, it certainly isn't. And you talk about them players, who's going to be able to afford the wages, who they're going to have to take a massive cut if they can literally get them off the books. And Merz touched on Anthony because we talk about him because of the price bracket. And when it comes with that, you come with the 85 million, your wages. So they take a major cut in trying to ship him out, and then they probably have to pay him to cover his wages when he goes elsewhere. So this is not going to be easy. You've got to want clubs that want your players. And there will be football clubs that want some of Manchester United players. Let's not kid ourselves. But that comes going, well, we ain't paying the figures that you want to get back and try and regenerate that money. So Ruben Amorim's got a big challenge on his hands. He knew he had a challenge. Did he know it was this big? I don't think he did.
And Manchester United away to Leicester City, the second part of Super Sunday tomorrow from the later time because it comes after the Carabao Cup final between Liverpool and Newcastle United.